Ladies and gentlemen, this is a contest over 10 3-minute rounds between, in the red corner,
The Hykso Punch Tracker,
and in the blue corner.
the Everlast PIQ Punch Tracker.
So of these punch trackers, brand new to the market, which one should you spend your money on? Round 1, unboxing. Well, with the Hykso, you get this nice small box there, very small, and you have your punch trackers in here. These things then come out, and I'll show you how you put these into your gloves. That's it. Instructions are inside of the box, but that's all you get. The PIQ. Now the PIQ has more in the box. You have the punch tracker, the robot here, a small holder which can be used to put onto your wraps. Very usefully, you have this wrap here which you can attach the sensor to, and you can put importantly outside of the gloves. Now that is a huge advantage if you're swapping these from person to person. The other thing I like about this is it has detailed instructions. Now, for someone like me who's not great with tech, that is a bonus. Round 1, that's a 10-9 round to the PIQ by Everlast. Round 2, ease of application. Well, with the Hykso tracker, you can pop this inside of your hand wrap like this. Now, this is dependent on how good you are at wrapping your hand wraps, but once that's in place, it shouldn't move. So that's where you're limited to putting the Hykso punch tracker inside of the wraps. The PIQ robot, now you've got more options with this. They suggest that this is put here, like this. That can fit perfectly well there. You can also pop the thing into this, the little holder. Now this holder then slides onto your wraps and you can move the thing around like this. So it makes it a little bit easier to put this on the outside of your wraps. The PIQ also has this hand wrap here, which you can attach the robot to there. It takes a little bit of fiddling, but it's a huge bonus for the PIQ. You can wear this robot on the outside of your glove, allowing me to transfer it between two people. A word of caution, this hand wrap is no substitute for a hand wrap that you would bandage your hands with. However, that's a huge advantage, and for me, that's a 10-8 round to the PIQ. Round 3, ease of use. Well, the Hykso wins on this one. It's a simpler unit, it measures less data, it's just easier to use than the PIQ, which is a little bit more complicated. With more use, I'm sure that either one of them would be fairly easy to use. However, for ease of use, that's a 10-9 round to the Hykso. Round 4, display. Well, the PIQ displays perfectly well here on my iPhone, and up here we're lucky enough to have a TV in the gym where we can monitor punch stats. Unfortunately, the PIQ does not have a live display while you're punching. You can't check what you're doing while you're going. With the Hykso, it's different. I can start a drill. You can see the countdown appearing up there now. And when I'm ready, I can start my punches, and you can actually see my punch count, intensity score, and average velocity while I'm doing it. What I would love, either PIQ or Hykso to be able to do, I would love it if I could have multiple users up on that screen so I can compare people at one time, each with different trackers. When I throw a couple of punches, when that starts, you'll see. So, a couple of punches there while holding it, and I can look at that while I'm doing that in the gym. Round 4, that's a 10-9 round to Hykso. Round 5, battery life. Well, both of them are great. The Hykso say they last up to 10 hours. The PIQ is 2-3 hours. Either way, there is no issue with them. They're both going to last longer than one training session, and you're going to have time to charge them up in between. Both of them, that's fine. It's a 10-10 round. That round's a draw. Round 6, sensitivity. You wouldn't think this would be an issue, but it can be. What if I'm working on technique? Watch the punch counter behind me. If I'm working on technique and I'm not throwing punches quickly enough, or if I'm working on a speed bag, the Hykso sensors don't pick it up. They're not picking up that because they'll only measure speeds that seem to be over about 7 or 8 kilometers per hour. They're not as sensitive as the PIQ. The PIQ is going to pick up any movement. For that reason, that is a 10-9 round to the PIQ. Round 7, price. Well, they're both more or less the same price if you buy 2 of the PIQ. Now, the reason you're going to need to buy 2 of these things is because in each one of these, you only get 1 robot. Now, last time I checked, most of you are going to have 2 hands, so you are going to need to buy 2 of these. Some of you are going to think, well, why don't I just buy 1 of these? I'll save the money, transfer it from one hand to another. That's fine if you're playing at this. If you're playing at this, by all means do that. I have no issue with that. If you're serious about this, and you're not going to buy one of these unless you're serious, you need to buy 2. So take that question right out of your mind now. Do not buy 1, buy 2. That's it. Now these are pretty much, they're about the same sort of price as buying 1 set of 2 of these. So on price, it's a 10-10 round. It's a draw. Round 8, the app. Both apps are very easy to use. Both work well with the iPhone. I have no issue with them whatsoever. They're both as good as each other. Fantastic displays, easy to read, no difficulty whatsoever. The PIQ app is slightly better, in my opinion, not much in it, but the data that is displayed just that little bit more detail. So again, that's a 10-9 round to the PIQ. Round 9, other features. Well, the Hykso has a round timer. You can hear that's just gone off. Then a rest period. Now I can set my round times in there, and that's a really, really useful feature. The PIQ does not have this. So you're going to need a round timer in a gym if you don't have that. For that reason, that is a 10-8 round to the Hykso. Round 10, data. This is where the PIQ delivers its knockout blow. Let's get this straight. You're buying these things because you want data. And the PIQ gives you all the data you're going to need. The Hykso is limited. It doesn't measure, for example, retraction time. It doesn't measure time in between your punches. The PIQ does all of this and more. Let's have a look on my screen and show you some of the things that the PIQ will show you that the Hykso will not.
Let's have a look at the Hykso screen first. Top left corner you can see punch count, that's the total number of punches. Intensity score, then we can see that's punch count multiplied by the average velocity with some sort of formula. I don't know how that's calculated, but it gives you an intensity as to how much you've done. Average velocity, that's calculated over all 12 rounds in this. Unfortunately, you can't see at the bottom of the screen. It will say R1, R2, R3, and these are, my screen has cut the bottom of these off, but these are all individual rounds. And you can see that average velocity is highlighted, so that's what we're looking at the moment. The Hykso tracker will also tell you how many of each type of punch you threw, down to jab, cross, or it will tell you whether you've thrown a lead hand or backhand power shot. It doesn't tell you whether that's an uppercut or whether that's a hook, but it does separate them out to an extent. Now let's have a look at some of the PIQ screens. We can see that there are 205 total punches, 31 less than 16 kilometers an hour. There's more stats in there, but it's telling me that my maximum speed on this punch was 32.4 kilometers an hour with an average of 21.1 kilometers an hour. So it tells you a maximum speed, which is useful. Unfortunately, my screen has cut off the bottom, but it also says maximum retraction of 28 milliseconds, which is 2.8 hundredths of a second, and the average, which is cut off at the bottom, is 231 milliseconds. So that lets you know that I'm retracting my punches in around about 2 hundredths of a second. Here's another screen. This one's quite useful because it shows the different proportions of punches that are being thrown within this session. So you can read for yourself the different proportions of how many punches of each type you're throwing. What's interesting as well is that the pick actually separates out the difference between what they term as a power shot, which would be a left hook, or a left uppercut, and right hook and right uppercut too, something that the Hykso doesn't do. You can also focus specifically on one type of punch. You can look at the speed, your retraction, which is just off the screen at the bottom here at 24 milliseconds, and you can look at the average speed, maximum speed of each punch individually. The pick will also keep records. So for example, your best pick score, which is a multiplication of several factors. My best punch G force in this session was 37.2 G. The pick claims to measure up to 35 G, so I'm not quite sure why mine has been measured at 37.2 G. It does appear to be outside of the parameters, but that's what it's measured it at. My best retraction was 16 milliseconds and the best punch speed 53 kilometers per hour. So we can look at those things and we can use those as coaches to try and improve our bests.
In summary, two amazing products that we didn't even have 2 or 3 years ago. Now we do, but one clear winner, the Everlast PIQ. If you're going to spend your money, that's the one I would buy right now. I would like to see a live display. I would like to see a round timer which is adjustable that gives an audible sound at the beginning. But overall, it's giving me almost everything I want from a punch tracker. Well done to both companies for producing some great hardware there. But for me, it's the Everlast PIQ. Right now, that's the one I recommend you buy.